everyone, it's Caroline. Thanks for joining me today. I'm doing a flip through of my composition notebook, glue book, art journal. It's everything in here. It's my glue book of spontaneity. I will link the playlist as I worked in here. I added for the cover, the only thing I added extra was this from a magazine, some gold paint. And I think that's it since the last time I did it. And I've got all my little dangles on here. And then the back side, all I did here was add some green paint. And in the front, I added some little Hello Kitty tags from our grandchildren. All of this is scraps. And then some artwork. So it's mostly my artwork in here, but I do add some of the gifts that I've received. This is when I first made the book. I put Glue Book of Spontaneity. I just kept the same text and cut it out and put it on here, and it shows here August is when I started the book and finished at the end of March. And I added have a destination but enjoy the journey. A lot of cutouts from magazines, flyers, junk mail. And I also would like to add that this is not in any chronological order. It's going back and forth. A lot of my art I do at night before I go to bed. I've done that since I've began my journey. A little zine that I had made, and I put a ticket in it. Just put it, I glued it onto the page. My life is layered with joy. My little collaged bird. And my magazines are all kinds of scrappy ones that I got for free. Some of them are from my mom and dad's Reader's Digest that they used, their backyard design one. And I have my doodle flowers. There's some art from Anna, our granddaughter, one of our granddaughters. I have some journaling in some areas of the pages. This I did one night before bed. I had printed out these tags and I didn't know what to do with them. I cut them out, I sewed around them, and then what I did is I hinged them to the page with an old ribbon cover. And then I journaled on there and just added all kinds of little scraps. And this page was a magazine, my paper ruffle. I cut out just freehand some watercolor paper. No, it's watercolor on regular paper, and then I added all kinds of scrappy threads. Put some eyelets in the middle, and I made these flowers. They were fluffy when I first started. our daughter collects certain labels and packaging when she thinks I'll like it. His name is Elmo. Using some children's book. Some more packaging. I just altered his mouth. I added a magazine mouth on here just to make it even funnier for me. Doodle, lots of doodling. A lot of these I had cut out years ago, and I used them in here a lot. My images have been used up, which I love. Never forget how wildly capable you are. It just went. A laminated piece of our hydrangea. This was flamingos, called by the rains. Some free newspaper advertisement that I have. I just like the look of this old one, and I put it in here. Started adding as I found images. Some crochet doily. Some of my clusters with old work checks. This is Easter Island. And one of my favorite groups is Simple Minds. And I put "We go walking hand in hand all across the land. It's at Easter." That's what that reminded me of. Fun with magazine images. And some of them I have the dates and some of them I don't. This was in December. All kinds of little strips I added. Made a doily vase or pot, and then I just layered it up here, and I put "What a dish." And these markings on the page I added, it looks like cherries or something. Yes, my imagination goes a little bit wild at night. This is layered on top of that, all kinds of packaging. Painty paper. A collage sheet, I think that's what that was. Then I made pockets out of some of my things that I received in the mail. And this is our first snowfall on the hillside in December. Awesome, fun images. This was September. And this lady I had cut out, but I changed her face. I painted, and then I just added my own face so I could change her completely. And this is Paris. And I had some of my painty papers. All different magazine images. And then I had this piece of embroidery floss, so I twirled it and glued it on here. Arrondissement, Paris. This I do have a video for this one. And I have cheap store flyers in certain places, fabric. A porch sky in December before the snow. Another Simple Minds reference, Waterfront. I love that song, and I wrote some of the lyrics in here. Did my own face on this. I think this was a DJ. I did my own face onto him. And made some little houses. I have a stamp that has this roof. I just stamped on here and cut them out, all these little images. I have a stamp of a bike, so I put that on there. This is from Celeste. This gave me the question of where is my time spent? And a fun crayon girl that I made, and her name is Dot. I made polka dots on her, and I made that one in January. And then it reminded me, because I called her Dot, it just brought to me the polka dot door, so I put the song on there. And then with the parrots over here, can you sing along with the crayon girl? This didn't start out, I didn't know what I was doing. I had this vase, so I put it on, added the butterfly, put it on the page, and I left it for such a long time. And then I had these little bookmark digitals. I was going to use it as a pocket or tuck spot, and I didn't do that. Just added little doodads here and there, parts of my ruffle. And then this is tea stained or coffee stained, a work log from Jim, from my husband, from years and years ago. So I put it in here. It reminded me of the car. Some of my painty embossed papers. I have a video for this one. My Fresca. Pockets that I made out of my tea sachets. This was August, one of my first ones that I did. The top of a tissue box. The tab from a milk carton. And I had this embossed paper, sewed it on, used it as a tag. Really fun. Little punched out dots. Added some of the movies from Diane Keaton on here. Soft. Soothes my soul. This is napkin. fun with doodles, being free, freestyle. This one started with the top from my yogurt, and then I had all these images from magazines and kept adding them. Freehand hearts. Filled in some spaces, some doodling up here. Ideas for life. Here's Pom Pom. I have a video for that one. I went on a bit of a painting fest before bed, it says. So this was in the new year. I just kept going. It's so textured and fun. The thing I put on the page right away was this country living cake. Then I had some vintage images, and so I put those on because it reminded me of when we were little and we were allowed to have our desserts in front of a movie some nights. Some more magazine art, leftovers, Brick House, love that song. And this was my red page, leftovers, and I just kept going with the red. And this is my own art card, and it started here with this from my Canadian Tire flyer. From my old newspaper, I added this fellow. I did some painting. Home Depot, a sunrise from our porch, and I just kept this all plain. She's from a magazine, sitting in a modern chair. This is one single paper. Oh yeah, these are fun. It takes courage to discover your style. I had painted on the paper, on the page, and then I have Indigenous art, and I wrote down who the artist is. It's called Loon's Nocturnal Call. Serigraph on arches. And from Red Lake, Ontario. And this all started with this packaging received from Karen. I just put some mail in here. And it went on from there, just kept going blue. All fun things with blue. And I just sewed around all these little images, left the threads. Here's a butterfly that I had made. It's a hidden paper clip, but it's really large for to put on the end of a page. So I glued it down, and I'm using it as a tuck spot. And I have some leftovers from Colleen. And And I made it into a tag. Added that. It's all about travel. And that goes in here. And I'm pretty much a homebody. I love to travel, but when I'm not doing that, I love to be home. This was a question for me. I didn't know what to do. I had put these X and O, added a few pieces here and there, had some bling, so I put that on here. And then it had a cluster that I made, and I left it because I like how simple and peaceful it is to me. And these ladies here with all the different vacuums go wild. A photocopy of a masterboard collage I did with fabric. And then I have a quote that I made, "Don't just stop to smell the roses, smell all the flowers." To go with the art that Anna had given, we had done some art together on a weekend, and this was mine, and all I had was Scotch tape, so these are all Scotch tape down. And it was Grammy and Anna together. We did that. Well, I did this page, she did the other page, and I just added some scraps on the border. This was some practice that I was doing. Lynn had sort of put out a little suggestion that we practice our faces, and I started to practice. And this page I did 3 on one, and then I just kept going, and it reminded me of Queen and Mamma Mia. I just kept singing and putting down words, and then Sister Golden Hair Surprise, and my brother and I, and yeah. And this is Dolores, the girl who never smiled. This is from Lynn's Fun Pack, and I put her on here, added some dots, some more words from another magazine, and a butterfly, and I thought that was a fun spot for her. Not much going on here. Like sometimes you're just done, and this is done for me. This was fine. Patty Eskridge is the artist of this this artist paper, so I put her name down before I glued it. And when I first started making my composition art in here, I had the little ends of my Aleene's tacky glue, and I started to put the rings down. Then I wanted to give myself some room, so I put my painted lady here. Her name's Desi, and I added some of my sparkles, my glitter. So I added glue, put the glitter on, and then topped it off with glue, and it doesn't go anywhere. And then I just added all the people's sparkle. Picture of some feet. Somebody's resting here along the shoreline. And I just continued to collage, added some books. This side, this is for our daughter. She rode horses, and there was a Dear Daughter post, so I put that on here. A book she's reading, or she read. And then I added some journaling. This was, oh, they're all fun. this was really fun. I have to describe this one. This reminded me of a pear, so I made a pear out of it, and I added just some scraps to make it, even it out. And then this lady, saw a face in here, so I drew around her, and then I added some of my my watercolor paper that I broke off, and then I just continued to draw. And I wrote about how I came to these images, and then I put quite a pear. And I just made a quick, with some scraps from my garbage, a quick paper clip, hidden paper clip. Get some doodles on there. A flamingo patch that was in my grab bag that I got at the thrift store. And then I just made a little cluster here with a envelope. This is a stamp that I made. And so I just stamped on some scrap paper, sewed around it, and then I added what it is. This was from National Geographic on some painty paper. There's my stamp, some more of my watercolor paper, a piece of fabric left over, vintage ad. This is from a fashion magazine. This is from our liquor store. Random things. This page I didn't know what to do, but I liked the way it ended up. And I ended up putting I'm me. This is me. This is blueberry envelope, dyed envelope that had a card for us. And this was from Europe. And then I added just random images. Magazine. More leftovers. Some washi tape. Lots of blank spots in here, but it's one of those things where if I started adding more, I wanted to keep just all the fun, scrappy images. Use up your scraps and leave no envelope behind, which is what I did here. I left it in its state, folded over some corners, and then I added a list into some packaging. A big art piece. Oh, and the artist is Mary Pratt, 1974. From one of the art books that our daughter brought home from work. More bits and pieces. I think you can make anything work. It's what's pleasing to you. I have a video on this one. one of the very first envelopes I had made from a magazine. And then I added some journaling, my little paper rails. My fun food color dyed fabric. These two guys made me laugh, and I just cut them out, put them on this scrappy fabric here. A bunch of numbers that was on a warranty paper. I cut them all up and put them, they just had to go there. And here's more art. This was the sleeve from one of the books that our daughter brought home. Very glossy. And I just felt like it went there. This one came together and very, very slowly. It started with a napkin, some washi tape, odds and ends, and I added this. I took the head off of this person walking this dog, and I added a different head. I had this cutout hat, so I put it there. A cutout bee from an advertisement. Scraps, a tag, just because. This is my another practice on some scrap paper, and I called her Lydia. Just had fun with scraps. Oh, this was fun too. Oh, they're all fun. I fussy cut out this peace sign, added it to this background of fish from National Geographic. And we're all in the game of life together. I just put that. This was October. And here's a page from Anna. She made this art for me. She used her new markers that we bought her for her birthday. They're just like the ones I had, acrylic paint markers. She loved them so much, so I bought her her own set. And she did birds and a rainbow. It's just beautiful. So I put that in here. And I made another paper, hidden paper clip with a children's book page. And then I added it here so that it'll keep the page closed. This is just simple and ethereal. I put leaving it light and airy. I didn't want it. This was napkin. I did a little folding, some ruffling on it. There's some gesso and paint. Left it like that. And this is my sampler page of embossing fun. I had this tin can. It's a beer can. Embossed it. Had some watercolor paper that I embossed. So I just added these on here. They've been floating around. Water crackers that I had. I have art in here from our grandchildren and a picture of a birthday, some birthday stuff I sent our daughter. And so I just keep that in here. I did a video on this one. Added some of my drop paint paper, and Anna made this elephant for me, and it found a home here. Origami elephant. And my back page, did have my scraps that I used, and now it has nothing in it, and I'm just going to leave it like that. And that's the end. The conclusion of my very first composition notebook, glue book, everything book for no reason, for fun. And it's complete. And it was so fun to do. I hope you're inspired to use your wonderful scraps that you've collected. This is pretty good documentation for the last 7 months. Always stay adventurous and be fresh. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.